Hello, Paul Wu here. Good morning. Last Saturday, September the 17th, 2022, I gave a talk on YouTube and LinkedIn about how to defeat year-long depression in days. The first part of the talk actually was missing on YouTube. So I decided to just convert a MP3 audio into some kind of video so that I can upload it to YouTube. Unfortunately, the format was not accepted. So I just come up with this sneaky way. I play the audio on the background, and then I pretend that I'm talking, but I'm not. I'm using the video on the background, and then show up this, picture. And so you just watch my handsome face for this 33 minutes, and hear what I talked about a week ago, last Saturday. And so is that fair? And I just, do my work, and you listen to the audio, I listen to it too. And just, I upload this one as the part one of my last Saturday's talk. Okay, let's get started. Yeah, just a little bit warm up for everybody. I probably tell you a little bit about myself, and then I talk about the experience, very profound experience I have about 20 years ago, Thai fry. But guess what? I'm still 18 years old. I'm kind of kidding. I'm very excited. In that word, I'm also a little bit nervous, right? What if I mess up? I make a big splash and I slip onto the little puddle I created called 12X Future You Live Demo, right? What if nothing happened? Are you worried about you ruin your reputation as a principal data scientist in a pretty prestigious like biotech company? Well, to be honest, if I don't care, who care, right? I don't represent my company, my current employer, or my former employer here on LinkedIn, on YouTube. I just represent myself. Today, I imagine that myself as like a street kid. What does street kid like? Free pizza, right? Free party, and sometimes street fighting. That's an exciting thing for a street kid. So in case I have a kind of a bloody nose, or you see me have like being locked out for a minute or two, just be calm. I will come back up. In just a few minutes. So okay, a little bit more formal. Introduce myself. Paul Wu here. What do I tell you about myself? Okay, just probably from my professional a little bit, right? 12 years experience in machine learning, AI, data science, 6 years in academic training. I graduated from Georgia Tech here in this little town called Atlanta, from this little college called Georgia Tech. I got my PhD there. My training was in bioinformatics and more in systems biology. And afterward, luckily, I won a national fellowship to go to Yale for 3 years to do computational immunology research. Afterward, I joined into a bunch of startup and education startup, healthcare startup, biotech startup, and right now, the recent 3 years, looking back, I serve a much bigger clients or company in some of the like telecom company, biotech company, insurance company. They are easily the for F50, even F5 company in the world. So all my recent project happen to be in empowering people. My personal icon put onto all these 4 or 5 machine learning projects was all centering on 10x people's happiness and their productivity. How do you like it? It scared most people, right? Yeah, it scared me. It scared myself too, to be honest. And when a year ago, when I put that title onto my LinkedIn profile, I think that let me motivate myself to do something different on this position. And at the beginning, to be honest, I want to fake it and make it, right? I want to just like motivate myself and to do something great. But 1 year and 4 months is down to the no. Actually, I'm seeing more and more evidence. I'm collecting more and more data points. Just remind you, I'm a data scientist. I always look at data. I always try to understand the user story behind the data. Try to dig out the deeper logic, behind the user story. Why people do this? Why people do that? Why they don't do this? Why they don't do that? Right? Things like that. And I put an AI engine behind that. So I'm looking at my own objective, whether I can really 10x people's happiness or productivity. I think that I have much better clue than a year ago. After a lot of personal failure, personal mistake, I guess in this audience, there are some of my colleagues, current colleagues, are also in the audience. And so that they know exactly. If I invite them to the front side, they will say that, oh, my goodness, Paul just messed up this. Paul just messed up that. Yes, that is exactly how I felt forward. That's exactly how we can make the 10x happier, 10x more productive for people. Real. So I'm not a junior. I'm just a little bit. I label myself. People say that, oh, you are so smart. You are such a top 1% junior. I say that no, I'm the top 1% counting from the bottom up. I'm the 99%. I personally experience a lot of the pain points you experience. I felt it. I cry over it. I pick myself up. The only thing I didn't stop is I didn't give up. That's it. If I have any smartness, if I have any surprising, that's probably I can count that the common factor. I don't give up easily. Okay, so this would be kind of a schedule of this day, today's talk. Let me tell you a little bit funny story. Last night, I decided, let me write a blog post about today's talk so that I would not, scatter my shot here and there, and all of you feeling confused, like, what's this guy talking about, right? And so I write write a blog post about this, the same title, 10x Future You Live Demo, how to beat a years-long depression in days. I did it, and you can too. That's my title. So this is our plan. First of all, I just give you an intro, very simple intro. And also I put up some disclaimer. And then we jump into the story. In the eyes of a data scientist, I present you the raw data. And then we do some modeling. I'm kidding. I'm not going to do modeling in front of you. I'm going to reflect what I experienced during those years of depression and what I learned from it. What are the common things cause depression? What are the common things that can draw you out of depression, even give you a much better confidence? You can become 10x better. You can become 12x better than you before. Then the situation, you were not depressed, but happy. I will lay out before you the what, the why, the how to, so that you can reproduce my real life experience, hopefully not getting out of depression after a year, but getting out of depression within days. That's my sincere hope. I mentioned that what is the risk of doing that today? I lay myself out, putting out all this raw data about myself. I did calculate it because I'm a data scientist. I did calculate what is the ROI of this. So the risk is I just failed terribly, right? I ruined my reputation. In my future job application, people will look at that piece of data. I can use that to fight against you, right? But the reward to me are very simple. If there is a single person here sitting in the audience or walking, listening, watching through YouTube, can get out of depression either today or in a few days, I have the biggest win. If there's only one person can do that, I have a big win. As I say, I don't care how other people look at me. I really don't care. Sorry. You see me as a genius or see me as stupid. It doesn't bother me at all. What I care is whether this thing will boost you to another level of thinking, another level of imagination, another level of speaking, another level of execution. That's why I care. If there's only one person successfully doing that, it is a big win. But I hope you are that one person. Each of you is that one person. So is that fair? Okay, let's get started. I have a year-long depression during the 2001. I tried everything I know. Martial arts, 5K, 10K running, counseling, taking medicine, but end up to the point that by the end of the year, constantly, whenever I wake up in the morning, I just fear, how can I get through today? A true fear. When I talk about that, all of a sudden I'm bringing myself back to 20 years ago. I'm still having that kind of trembling. How can I get through the day? When I was driving my car for a couple of times to pass through a racetrack, I was thinking, oh my goodness, it would be so good if I just push the gas pedal. This pain will end it. It will be ended. I don't need to face this shit anymore. Probably I should do it. Such attempt. Or when I was taking a bath in my bathroom, I said that, let me just get a little bit water onto the bathtub. I just merge myself and let the gravity do its work. And when I get up, probably I will emerge from another world. I don't need to face this hellish situation. That was me. I don't even have human language to describe how painful, what the suffering look like. I simply don't. For the person who is in depression, probably some of you probably would say, yes, it is like that. Exactly. I'm not exaggerating. It is exactly like that. That's depression. If I would help those who are lucky, who haven't gone through depression at all, I can give you an analogy. When I was a kid, I was bullied by some bully in my school, right? My elementary school. He pushed me down. He smashed my face, and I was crying. I feel extremely humiliated. But guess what? If every day I need to face a bully to push me down and smash my face, I would say that that's probably better. I face that situation than didn't go through that 1 year of depression. More than 1 year, actually. I would rather prefer being beaten, being humiliated on a daily basis, rather than go through that day in and day out, non-stop suffering, non-stop self-criticism, self-condemnation, feeling no hope, no future, no purpose, meaningless. I would rather do that. Or let me give you another example. I don't know, like you go through sickness, like very, very, very sticky sick list. When I was in college, every week I have some kind of problem happening in my body, basically. In the old days, they use like that kind of book. You keep your medical record. Most of my fellow students basically barely use one or twice, right, of those books to go to the doctor and get some prescription. But I went there basically every week. Every week, I have some medicine, I have some prescription, to take care of the sickness here and there pop out on my body. I would say that if I have to compare the two things, one is going back to the hospital visit doctor situation for say 2 or 3 years, or all my college, compare with that year of depression. The sickness lasting for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years would be much better. Seems like heaven to me, compared with that year of depression. So this is the only language I can give you today. I don't know how to describe it. I don't know how to get you, transfer my feeling, my emotion to you. And some of you say that if I give you $100 million, do you want to go through it? I would say probably I will. You would say this guy is a pretty like money chaser, right? Give you $100 million, you want to go through that year. But the situation is, because I understand the mechanism how to get out of it in days, not years. So I say, why not? If somebody give me $100 million and I go into it and get out of it in day. So I have $100 million in my pocket. Why not, right? Yeah, just kidding. Again, this is the confidence I have. Obviously, I'm not saying that I will go through depression again, but this is the confidence I have. I want to explain it in such a detailed, such a easy to make sense way, so that you can beat depression. You can, even you don't have depression, you can help the people, your aunts, your sisters, your brothers, your son, your parents, whoever they are in that kind of situation, to jump out of depression, give the depression a big KO again and again in the coming day, so that they can regain the joy, happiness, the productivity they are supposed to live. So is that fair? Okay, I think it's pretty good, right? So disclaimer. First of all, I need to disclaim, right? I'm not a medical doctor, not a psychologist. I hold my PhD from in bioinformatics, system biology, from Georgia Tech. I did my 3 years postdoc research in systems biology at Yale. And I work as a principal data scientist in Genentech, which is the first biotech company in the US and the most productive biopharm leader in the world, right? But right now, I don't represent my current or my former employer, but myself. I represent myself. I am not giving you any medical or psychological advice, but my own personal story and reflection. Honest and raw. It is totally up to you, up to your discernment, what to take and how to take it. Okay, the second disclaimer is I don't have magic pill to sell to you. I do not, and I will not charge you a single dime, my fellow freedom fighter, to walk through this, what I call the victory journal, the victory journey designed for you. So this process will not cost you a single dollar, but it will cost your most precious assets. That's your full attention and your open-minded participation. So are you talking about you're not guarantee anything? Kind of. I'm not guarantee anything. How can I guarantee anything, right? And 100% of the time, you are the designer and driver of the end result you designed. I am basically a cheerleader and your parameters. Imagine that you are driving a car, right? I'm basically the meters in front of you. Whether you are too fast, too slow, you are getting off track. I am that kind of people. So just think about I'm a street kid, a cheerleader, your parameters, right, when you are driving. So just here, I encourage you to keep your mind open always, to put everything, every crane I put on in front of you into some stress test. Don't forget that. Put everything I say here into some stress test, into the most difficult, most challenging situation you are facing or your beloved one is facing. Don't easily believe in me. So I think that's pretty fair, right? Most of you, I don't know who you are, and some of the family are listening to me, but most of you, I don't know. So always test, always stress test, whether what I say is right or wrong or, whatever. So since this process, in my eyes, is simple enough and speedy enough so that you can try it out right after you hear it. You can experience the power. It is not require you to fully understand it even. Of course, understanding is good, right? Your understanding actually come around the way you experience it and putting yourself to do the experiment. So let me say again, it's very important. You don't have to understand or agree with everything I say here. But I want you to have an open mind. I want you to just today, in this short 90 minutes, put yourself as a guinea pig, experience what I invite you to do, and to see whether there's a change coming out. So is that fair? Like, just experience it. What a big loss, right? At least we have fun today. If nothing happened, we have fun. And that's our baseline. So let me talk about my journey. What really happened, which is the raw data point. Let's jumpstart into it. Oh, before we jumpstart into it, because it's a 19 minutes journey, I want you to see the result first, right? What would the result I want to achieve? What you can see yourself after this 90 minutes process? First, you will have the true first-hand knowledge on how to defeat depression and winning freedom. What do you mean true? True is very subjective, right? Here's true. What true mean? It is an acronym, start with E from the back end. E represent executable. U represent understandable. R represent reproducible. T represent transferable. So that's why I call true first-hand knowledge. Fair, right? I'm not making magic here, right? I want it to be fully reproducible, transferable, understandable, executable, so that I'm a scientist, I'm an engineer, so I think that way. I work that way. Sorry for those you think that you can make magic happen. I'm not in that line. Okay, the second one is you will be able to adapt that true knowledge to your personal situation, starting your own journey of hope, help, purposefulness, meaningfulness, together with other groundbreakers and future makers. So you have an upgrade. You are no longer just fighting for your freedom. You are in the slavery of depression. Right now, I see you as a groundbreaker, as a future maker. What do you mean adapt? Adapt means that you can use analogy, you can draw diagram, you can do experiments, you can use plain English or plain Chinese to explain to people what's really happening. And if you are technical, you can go for technical abstraction. So that's what adapt means here. Again, I summarize it. You have the true first-hand knowledge on how to defeating depression and winning freedom. You will be able to adapt this true knowledge to your situations, starting your journey of hope, help, purposefulness, meaningfulness, together with other groundbreakers and future makers. Okay. I actually, this morning, when I was walking down the hill, I live in an apartment which is on the top of a hill. I walk down with my dog every morning. And scripture, I'm a believer of Jesus, and a scripture that pop up to my mind is Isaiah 61. So I want to read about this and to stretch out, to put our canvas in front of you. And this is what will happen. In the coming 60 minutes, this is what will happen. And probably it's already happening. Let me read through it. Very short 3 words. And let's check it at the end of this talk, whether this is real, whether this is just I make up by my own imagination, right? This is a very good stress test. Isaiah 61, the Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me to bring good news to the afflicted. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, proclaim liberty to the captives and freedom to the prisoners, to proclaim the favorable year of the Lord and the day of vengeance of our God, to comfort all who mourn, to grant those who mourn in Zion, giving them a garland instead of ashes, the oil of gladness instead of mourning, the mantle of praise instead of a spirit of depression, so that they will be called the oaths of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, that he may be glorified. Let's come back later on to double check whether this one materialize in your life or among us. Okay, in the coming 15 minutes, I will talk about what really happened during that year. And I also trace back why that happened, why I fell into a year-long depression. It starts with this. I graduated from my college, 1996, from Sun Yat-sen University. And then I didn't want to go to a routine job. I went to Beijing to attend the New Oriental School. That's a GRE school. And to boost my ability to pass the TOEFL, GRE, that kind of exam. Right? Everybody from China, if you are international, you're probably very familiar with that experience. Unfortunately, I failed terribly on my exam. I think TOEFL, probably I scored 400 out of 600, something like that, right? The GRE, for 3 times, I failed terribly on my exam. So anyway, that's what I experienced. So I was pretty disappointed on my own performance. So I basically, okay, I'm not working for a job. Let me just do something about this. How do I help myself to be better in English, to be better in preparing my exam? I tell you, I'm not a genius. I'm the top 1% counting from the bottom. And my English was really poor. So I come up with the idea. The idea was like, let me teach GRE because I failed so many times, right? I know quite a lot of trap I fell into. I basically, whatever people A, B, C, D, E, right? Every time I choose the long letter, the long option, it's not the right one. So, and I have to like, after I failed for so many times, I know exactly the thinking or the why I reasoned wrong. And so I think that I'm pretty qualified to be a GIE teacher. So I proposed to Michael Yu Minhong. If you are in China, you know who he is, and who is the founder of the New Oriental School. And he didn't pay attention to me. I'm nobody, and I don't have a like shiny, very high GIE score to show him. Right? Of course, I was kicked out. So I went back to Guangzhou, and I basically I was homeless for a period of time, and I basically go back to I stick into the graduate students. Dormitory because some of my good friends are doing their master's or PhD study there. So I live there, and I continue working on GIE. And so I actually create a school, just like being a guy, borrowing people's dormitory. So I post the GIE school. I still remember the name. It's called Qingchulan GIE School. In Chinese, it is like you become better. You are become better and better. It means that, right? On the back end of it, nobody knows that. I say that, okay, you can become better than me, right? At least because I felt so terribly in my GIE. For sure, you can score better than me, and that's the why the name come from. I'm a little bit being honest. And so anyway, so that's what happened. But guess what? The first batch of the student, basically, they are performing really well. It surprised me. Of course, I put a lot of effort into it, right? But they are performing really well. Some of the students, you may say that, okay, what's the baseline, right? If you build model, what's the baseline of it? The baseline was one of the students is the so-called top 1% student from the computer department graduate school. The other one is another top one from the geological science school. They are all like a graduate students, right? And they are kind of foolish enough to sign up for my GIE training. So they pass. They have a high pass. Actually, they won their like a graduate fellowship from some graduate schools. One is from like a as I remember, it's like Stony Brook, and very good school, right, in New York. Another one from UGA, University of Georgia. If the two guys are here, the audience, they know, they will say, "Oh my God, how this guy just like take us 500 yuan and get us into this training program," right? And just kidding. You're lucky, you go through. But for me, I was very unlucky. After the GIE school, I teach other people, I become pretty good, right? I become reasonably good. So I also have a high pass on GIE. And I got a graduate fellowship to come to the US. And unfortunately, my visa situation was totally messed up. I was rejected for 5 times until the 6th time. 5 times, rejection. I interview, go there, 2 minutes, even to 20 seconds. The 4 times, 20 seconds, they kick me out. You have immigration intention, and so that you are not supposed to come to US. But the real situation was, by then, China and the US was kind of tied, right, the relationship. And in general, only about, I would say, 15 to 20% of the student get their visa to come to the US. In the condition, they have the full scholarship. So that was how severe it is. Unfortunately, I'm not the top 15, 20%. I'm the top 15, 20% bottom up again, right? The same situation. So I was totally disappointed, right? My goodness, 4 years, 3 years of work end up to be like this. I can imagine what I'm going to face, right? All the effort I've wasted, But I have a good friend from college. Hopefully he's listening to me right now, or if not later. Yuan, let me call him Yuan, and he said that, hey, Paul, you are supposed to pray to God, ask for help. I said, okay, yeah, I know that it's.
Oh. All right. The recording is done. And what you heard was the talk next Saturday, September the 17th, 2022. And I speak through the YouTube live and also linking audio channel. Unfortunately, on linking or on YouTube, the first part of the video is missing. The signal doesn't get through. So fortunately, I have the recording, the audio recording. So I just set up audio, and I'll set up like a Google meeting and play that video on the background so that you can hear what was the original first part, the missing part. Okay. I will write a blog post about this talk. You don't need to go through these 2 hours. I even squeeze the juice into probably a 15 minutes reading article so that you can read about this, think it through, write your own things, do the thing, do the stuff you are supposed to do around the way. So I see you on the other end, called hope, called help, called purposefulness, called meaningfulness. I see you on that end. Don't give up. If any question, any comment, contact me through LinkedIn. We make it big. We smash the face of depression. We smash the face of homelessness, helplessness, meaningfulness, purposefulness. Together, we can do it. Yes and amen.